మన ఎడ్యుకేషన్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ KPTs ఒకటి బయోమెట్రిక్ ఇప్పుడు కొన్ని సబ్జెక్ట్ ఉంది మేడం ఆ పీపీటీ పర్ఫెక్ట్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసి అవన్నీ యూనివర్సిటీ ప్రిపేర్
Good morning, everyone. Hope my voice and the PPT is visible to you. Am I audible? Okay, good. PPT is also visible, right? So we'll quickly start the class without wasting much time. Thank you, everyone. So prior to this class, we have discussed about the control statements and conditional statements, and now we are looking into the looping statements. As we have seen C++, we are well aware that there were three types of looping statements. Looping statements are those which are required for executing a given block of code, a given set of statements for some n number of times. Let us say if I want to execute a particular group of statements for 10 times repeatedly, I have two choices. I can write those group of statements 10 times sequentially, one after the other, so that the execution goes on one after the other sequentially. But suppose if I want to execute the same block of code 100 times or some given number of times, then should I copy and paste those lines of code for that n number of times? No. To have repeated execution for a block of code with some conditional checking, we require looping statements. So basic principle for looping statements is they are meant for executing a group of statements for a given number of times, and that execution may be controlled through some conditional checking. If a condition is true, the execution will happen for that number of times. But if the condition becomes false, the execution stops and the next number of lines after that particular group of code, next block of code will get executed. So we have got three statements here. One is while, second is and third one is do while. The execution process for while is very simple. It takes a condition, whatever condition you want to say over here. For example, I less than 10 or something like that. If this condition is true, it will try to execute this block of code for that particular number of times. But here, the number of times is not specified. The number of times will be controlled by writing one statement above while loop called as initialization statement. I less than 10, right? But what is the initial value of I? That initial value should be specified above over here before the while loop. Now, once the value of I is initialized, it will check the initial value with that of the condition that has been given in the while block. Now, if this while condition is true, then only this block of code will be executed. If this while condition is false, then this block of code will not be executed. Okay, but to have some limitation to number of times executions, we will try to increment or decrement the value which we have initialized here. Okay, so altogether the value that we are initializing or making a change with, this value is called as iterative variable. It is called as iterative variable. Iterate means to repeat. Iterative variable or repetitive variable. This variable will be initialized, will be checked with a condition, and will get incremented or decremented. Okay, so in case of initialization, it is done before the while loop starts. Fine. The conditional checking will be done within the parenthesis of the while keyword. Do remember it is not a function, it is a while conditional statement. Okay, don't think that these parentheses are meant for the function call. No, they are meant for making a conditional checking for the while keyword. No, the condition is being checked within the while, and the change of value, increment or decrement or some change of value will be done as the last line of the while's block of code. These three sequences should be remembered. The initialization is done before the line, conditional checking is done within the while line, and the change of value is done as the last line of our block of code. It may be the last line or somewhere in between. If you wish, you can have that in between also. But somewhere you need to make a change in the value of the iterative variable within the block of code. So the execution has been depicted through a flowchart diagram, and it is very simple. So the syntax is very simple, and then you need to mention the condition within the parenthesis. The opening and closing curly braces, you have to write the block of code that you want to execute. As an example, I kept a JavaScript program here. So what we are trying to do in this script is we are trying to have a variable I. As I said, there will be initialization of the iterative variable. Here I is the iterative variable for us. So we are declaring that I as a variable over here with the initial value as 10. Now within the while condition, I am checking is the value of I less than or equal to 13. Okay. Will this condition be satisfied? True or false? It will be true. 10 less than or equal to 13. Yes, it is less than or equal to 13. So what to do? If the condition is true, the block of code will get executed. What is being done here? We are trying to write on the document. We are trying to write on the document. What is this document for us? It is the HTML file in which this JavaScript has been included. Okay. JavaScript is not only going to work with HTML, it is going to be embedded into multiple different technologies. So in all those cases, mostly it will be embedded into HTML, but in all those cases, whatever may be the document, it may be HTML file, it may be some other file, we are trying to represent that particular file using the document object. This document is the object here. So we are using that object, we are making a call to the write function, and what we are doing in that one, we are trying to display the value of I. Do remember I am not using double quotes here for the I. If I don't use double quotes, it will try to take the value and print this value here. Okay, so it will display the value here and with a break tag. Okay, so I want to write this particular thing so that the browser can take it as a new line character, and then at the end I want to have I++ and finish off with the loop. So shall we see the execution of this while statement? I'm just copying this particular code. Let's open with Notepad. Okay, let's check whether it gets executed or not. Can you see this particular output now? Okay. So what do we understand? What do we take from this particular block of code? The first and foremost thing, had I written any HTML script here, any HTML program, I haven't written anything using HTML tags. The document that I have saved is actually saved as HTML here, saved with the extension of HTML. So JavaScript, uh, the compiler, though we have not used any HTML here, but still it says that the extension is .html and it will try to inculcate this particular JavaScript program into that HTML code. So that means even the HTML tag itself is optional. You need not even have that particular thing. These browsers, they are very good, they are very intelligent, and they can interpret even an empty file. Okay. Whereas your C, C++ compilers, they will not compile your. Okay. So this is what I wanted to have. One thing here. Plus, second thing is we have initialized it to 10, right? So 10 is lesser than or equal to 13 years. For the first time, it's true. So it has displayed the value of I with a break, which is a new line character \n for us. Okay, in HTML. Now, again, it increments the value to 11. Once the value is incremented, it will go back for the conditional checking and it will check whether this I 11, which is now 11, is less than or equal to 13 or not. Yes, this condition is also true. Again, it will display the value of I and then increment the value of I here. Once the value of I is incremented, again, this is the closing of the while loop. So it goes back to the conditional checking of the while. Now I was 12, it is checking 12 is lesser than or equal to 13 or not. Yes, it is true. Again display 12 with a new line character, then increment the value of I, then this is the closing brace of I. It goes for this conditional checking. Yes, I, which is 13 now, is less than or equal to 13. Yes, true. It will display the value of I. Again, it will increment it. Once incremented, I became 14. This is the closing of while loop. So it goes back for the conditional checking again. Checks whether 14 is less than or equal to 13. Now it becomes false. So once it becomes false, it goes to the next line after the curly brace, closing brace of our while. And the next line is the closing of the JavaScript program. So this whole thing has displayed us 10, 11, 12, and 13. Fine, I hope everyone has understood this block of code. Thank you. Now, let's get back to our slides. So we have understood while. The working of all other looping statements are almost the same. Let us try to see what is do while. The do while works in the simplest manner with a very similar to that of while. But in case of while, let us try to once again see it. In case of while, the initialization was done before while statement, right? You can see over here. Now, once the while keyword is used, it is going to check this condition. Once this condition is true, it will go and execute this block of code. This is called as the while body or body of while loop. Now, once this body of while loop used to be executed, before executing it, it is checking the condition here. Means before even evaluating this body of the while loop, it is first checking the condition, then evaluating it. But in case of do while, it is little opposite. It will first perform the body of the while loop using a do keyword. It will first perform it. Once it has performed, it will come and check the condition. Okay. So where do we keep the initialization, condition checking, and incrementation or decrementation of value or change of value? We have three things, right, with the looping. One is incrementation or initialization of an iterative variable, conditional checking of the iterative variable. Third one is change of value in the iterative variable. These three are must and should for any loop. Now, within these three, we have got condition in the while, which is being checked after the performing of while block of code. The incrementation will be done before the do keyword. Incrementation will be done before the do keyword, and the change of a variable value, change of iterative variable value will be done in the body of the while loop. Fine. So let's try to see the program. are initializing this particular variable I. As I said, initialization will be done before do keyword. Now within the block of code, we are trying to increment it. That is, we are changing the iterative variable value here, and we are checking the condition here. So what we have initialized I as? We have initialized I as 11. And in the body of the while loop, we are trying to write that value of I using the function of document object, and we are trying to write it with a new line character. Now once this line is written, it is going to change the value of I. Here change is the incrementation. So we are incrementing it to 12 now. So value of I will be 12 here. It comes down. This is the closing of the while body. So it checks this condition now. Okay, so what is this condition? I is lesser than or equal to 15. I value was 12. Now 12 is lesser than or equal to 15. Yes, true. So it goes back to the body of the while again. Here, do remember, while it was going back in the while case, it was checking the condition here. But in case of do while, the condition checking has been done at the end only. So no need to check once more here. It will directly go and execute it. So it will display 12 with a new line character, then change the value to 13, and then again check whether this 13 is lesser than or equal to 15 or not. Yes, true. Goes back for the execution of the body, displays 13 with a new line character, and then increments it to 14. Then checks this condition whether 14 is less than or equal to 15. Yes, true. Again displays the value of 14 and then with a new line, then changes it to 15, then comes down, checks the condition whether 15 is lesser than or equal to 15. Yes, true. Goes again for the displaying of 15 with a new line character, increments it to 16. Then here 16 lesser than or equal to 15, false. So it goes for the next line after it, which is the closing of our JavaScript. So this is how it works. So what is in the end takeaway from this particular script? The most commonly done error from most of the students is they forgot to put a semicolon after the while keyword and condition. After this condition, do remember there is a semicolon, whereas in the earlier case, in case of while, there was no semicolon after it. Okay. So most of the students, as it is a human habit to get confused, to make mistakes, they will keep a semicolon here after the while statement in the while loop, and they will get confused that there should not be any semicolon after the while statement. They will not keep a semicolon in this do while loop. So it is wrong actually. The simplest thing is, in order to remember those things, one simple trick I will tell you. Do observe that wherever this opening brace will come, before that semicolon will not come. Of line to the opening brace, semicolon will not come. Okay, but this is the closing brace, so after it semicolon can come. Just follow this trick, you will not get any confusion. Okay, here before the opening brace there is no semicolon. Here this is a closing brace, so it will have a semicolon with corresponding semicolon. So is this do while statement clear for everyone? Good, thank you. Let us try to see the third loop, which is very important and very convenient loop. Remember, all the three loops are interchangeable. They can be used one for the other. But we will try to use one for a specific reason, one for another specific reason. Something like that. So, what is there in the for loop is best thing is the incrementation, conditional checking, and the initialization. All are done within the for block only within the for loop itself. Within one single line, all the three statements are written. So there will not be any confusion for anyone what where is the initialization of variable, where is the conditional checking, where is the incrementation. It will be all listed in one single line. And what is the body of the loop will be clearly specified within the opening and closing brace. Whereas in the previous cases, in the while and do while, if you recollect back, in the while, you had the initialization as separate for while, conditional checking in one another place, change of variable in another place. In case of do while also, you had similar things. You had initialization before do, change of variable in the do block, then conditional checking in the while block. In case of for loop, it is very simple. You will keep the initialization, conditional checking, and change of variable, incrementation or decrementation within one single line, and the sequence should be followed. Do remember, initialization comes first, then conditional checking, then the change of variable. Do not interchange them. Okay. So the exact number of lines which are to repeat, which are to be repeated, which are to be executed repeatedly will not be mixed up with the incrementation or decrementation, will not be made as clumsy to us. So can you see how clean this code is looking like? Here we are writing for I is equal to 1, I lesser than or equal to 5, I plus plus, what to do, right? This particular variable value I and with a new line character, and then goes back to check this condition. Is this condition satisfied or not? But before this condition is to be satisfied, it will go and increment the value. So let us try to see how the sequence flows. So from the scratch, whenever the compiler sees a for loop, it will try to first initialize a variable with the first part which is mentioned in with a semicolon. This is called as statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. So it will first execute the statement 1, checks whether what is this statement. It's initialization I is equal to 1. Now once it is initialized, it will never again execute this block of code. It will be executed only once. It will execute this statement 1 only once. So once initialized, it will not initialize it once again. Okay, so once initialized, it will go for conditional checking. Is 1 lesser than or equal to 5? Yes, true. Once it is true, it will go for the execution of block of code. Okay, it will go for the execution of block of code. After completion of the execution of block of code, the controller will go back to the incrementation, statement 3. We'll go back to this statement 3, incrementation or decrementation or change of value. Once it is done, it will again check the condition whether it is satisfying or not. Once this condition is satisfied, it will go and execute the block of code, and then again goes back for the change of variable, then conditional checking, then block of code, then goes back for change of variable, then conditional checking, then execution of block of code. This process of change of variable, then conditional checking, then execution will carry on unless and until this condition becomes false. Clear? I hope all the three loops are clear for everyone.
Clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we are just recollect or putting some more programs because you need to have your practicals also to be done. So I have kept as many programs as possible, as many as possible. So in case of functions, the simplest thing is in case of JavaScript, defining a function is very simple. You need to write a keyword function and then give the name to the particular function. This should be one single word. Remember, it should not have two words. It should be one single word, either separated. If two words are to be used, then separated with a underscore or use camel case lettering as I have used. Then you have to mention parameters if they are there, and then opening brace and a set of statements to get executed in closing brace. But what is the main reason for defining a function? The main reason for defining a function is just like your loops. If you wanted to execute a block of code for some n number of times, here you want to execute a block of code only and only when it is being required to be executed. So when it is required to be executed, we will make a call to that particular block of code using a name. That name is the function name. Okay. And when we call that particular block of code to get executed, we will pass certain parameters to it as an input to that block of code to be used within that block of code if they are to be used. Okay, this is optional. So the basic principle behind the function is, if I have a block of code which should get executed only when it is required, only when it is called, then we'll define it as a separate block of code with a name or with a label attached to it as a function name. Okay, so it will perform certain tasks based on the parameters or whatever statements we have written, and it will try to give the result of this end block of code back to its caller. Okay, fine. So what we are trying to have here is, we are having a script over here in the HTML program, and within the script we have written a function here. And this function is corresponding to a particular call being made whenever the button is being clicked. Okay. We are making a call to this particular function by specifying the name of the function. So what is this function going to do? It is going to put a prompt to the user to enter the name. Okay, enter your name, something like that. Once that prompt takes the value, that value will be stored inside a variable called as name. Now, one small thing. Have we defined what is this variable name? No. Even if it is not even mandatory for declaring a variable here. It's not compulsory. You need not have the var keyword also to be used. But it is always a good programmer's practice to declare the variables so as to remove the confusion. But in JavaScript, it is not even required. Okay. So once the name is stored inside a variable called as name, we are trying to put an alert box telling welcome so and so with this particular name. Okay, shall we execute this block of code and see how it looks like? So the button is available. Once I click on it, this function will get executed. On clicking of the button, this function will get executed. So this function will give a prompt to me trying to ask me what is your name. Once I enter the name, that value of the name will be stored inside this variable name, and the next thing is it will display an alert box and it will try to give that message. So let's try to click this button. So can you see this prompt? Earlier we had one alert message also, right? Let's see the difference. We'll again execute and again try to see. So I'm giving here some name. Can you see there are two buttons here? OK and cancel. Do remember this thing. Whatever message we wanted to have, enter your name. Whatever we have written here, enter your name, has been displayed on as a message on the prompt. So I'm clicking on OK. It is giving me a alert message, a warning symbol here. Welcome so and so with this particular. And here only OK button is there. So what is the main difference that you have seen? Is it compulsory to have plus between L and BR? Okay. The thing is, if I want to have a new line character over here, for example, like this, let us say I want to have document dot write. This is case sensitive. print dot write. Something is to be written here. For example, this is one message. Then I want to attach another message to it. So what I will do is I will put a plus symbol to attach. Then I will write the second one. Okay, then close it. Then here. So what is the main purpose of this plus is to put concatenation or appending of two different things. Here this is the first message, here this is the second message. Here it can be a variable also. Instead of a string, we can keep even a variable. For example, I just wanted to have 10 to be written in 10 plus. Okay. So it will display 10 plus so on. So let's get back. Is there any doubt in this particular program? Okay, fine. Again, I am repeating. If I click this one, you are able to see a prompt here. This prompt will have a particular input box with two buttons, one for cancel, one for OK. So if you click on cancel, the prompt will get closed up without submitting any value. That's why it is displaying null here. Okay. Otherwise, it will take the input value and display it back. So hope it's clear. Now let's get back to this slide. So defining of the function is clear for everyone. Now we are talking about arrays. You know that array is a group of variables which are having same type. Array is nothing but if we have one variable, we'll use one variable name to represent that variable. A, let us say A. If I have another variable B, then I will use another variable name B for representing it. There is one more variable to get stored or represented in the memory, then I will use one more variable named C for it. Suppose if I have 100 variables to be represented, will I keep on ABCD so on? It will give only 26 to me. Then again ABCD so on? No. What I will do is I will keep only one single name to it, called as some A or something like that. Then I will see in the brackets how many elements do I need to represent, how many variables am I representing using that variable name A now. That's the simplest concept of arrays. Okay, so here what I am trying to do is, in this particular slide, I'm trying to say that this my array is the name of the variable, and I'm trying to make use of a new keyword because JavaScript utilizes arrays as objects. I'm trying to create a new object of array type, and I'm telling to create for 5 variables. So at the end, my array will become the object which is going to represent 5 different variables. Okay, 5 different values. Fine. So let's try to see what we are doing. We are having one button here in the HTML block, and on clicking of that button, a function is getting executed. What is that particular function going to do? Whatever name of the function array example is being taken here, that function is going to declare an array of 5 values, and for the initial first value we are putting 10 as a value, second value we are keeping as 20, third value we are keeping as 30, fourth value as 40, and fifth value as 50. We are trying to have sum equal to 0, and then using a for loop till the end of the array, that is how many elements are there, we are calculating the length of the variables, that is it will return 5. Using the for loop, we are trying to add one after the other back into the variable sum, and finally we are trying to alert the user with the sum value, resultant value. So in the background, what we are doing in this program is we are calculating the sum of all the values of a given array. Okay, shall we execute this program and see? So button has been displayed. It has calculated the sum in the background, 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 50, which is given 150, and see result. Is it fine? So the basic thing behind arrays is an array is used to represent a given number of elements which are of same type. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, they are of all numerical type, right? So we are using an array to represent those type of variables which are of same type. Now, to declare those variables, what is the procedure? What is the syntax we need to follow? We need to write the name of the variable that we want to represent the entire array with. Then we have to use a keyword new and array as a keyword again with how many elements you want to represent. 5 elements, 10 elements, what is the elements? This is called as the subscripts of arrays, size of the array. Okay. One more key important thing here to be noted is in case of C, C++, those who are familiar with C, C++ arrays, do remember the declaration is little different from C and C++. Here you will not use square brackets, we are using parentheses. In JavaScript, it is one of the typicalities that in case of declaration of arrays, we will use parentheses instead of square brackets. That's why you can see over here we have used parentheses instead of square brackets. While initializing each and every variable, while accessing each and every variable in that group of variables, we'll use square brackets only as usually we did in C and C++. Fine to everyone? This is one simple small point you need to remember. Yeah. This array name dot length represents how many elements are there in this particular array. This my array has been created as an object, right? Object of array type. Since it is an object, it will have its properties. One of the properties which is by default there for every array is length. This length represents how many variables are there in this array. Okay. So here what value will be returned? Can anyone put it in the chat box? What will be the end value of this myArray.length? 4. Yes, Bharat is correct. 5. Nihal is also. Ravi Kishore, you have corrected. Yes, correct. Correct. Pawan and Anurag, both are correct. So, is there any other doubt in this particular program?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Please.
Sir, in C or C++, when we are declaring an array of size 5, for
Yeah,
suppose,
yeah.
and we are giving only 3 input values, the other 2 are stored as 0 if we use a keyword called static. Otherwise,
Yes.
some garbage values will be stored in that elements.
Yes.
In JavaScript, what will be the case, sir?
Let's try it out. As you said, we'll try it and check it. Let's write our own little logic here. Here summation was calculated, right? So I'm not using summation here. I'll write it on the document. I'll write it in the HTML page. What is the value stored inside each variable? I'm not initializing the fourth and fifth values here. Let's check. Register. Register. So let's try to read it out. What has been defined here? Just forget about the alert box. It was trying to display some. What has been defined here? What has been declared? Undefined. Okay. So this is actually in the background, undefined in the sense it will contain null values, and null will not be displayed in the browser. It will be displayed as undefined. Is it clear, Pawan?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other doubt for anyone? Okay, good. So in case of arrays, since array is a predefined class in JavaScript whose object we created here, this array is a predefined class, and we created an object using the new keyword, right? And the object name that we created was my. This my array is your own given variable name. You can keep any object name here. So that predefined class is going to have a lot of functions with it. One of the function is concat. This concat is to attach two arrays together, or to add two arrays one after the other to attach them together as a one single. So concatenates the elements of one array at the end of the another array and returns a simple array of concatenation nature. Sort is a function, predefined function, which is used for sorting the elements. You might have learned in your C++ many insertion sort, bubble sort, merge sort, all those quick sorts. Those sorts are being implemented automatically in arrays, so you need not write any logic behind it. Reverse, we're trying to reverse the elements in the given array. Okay, the last element will be replaced with the first will be replaced with the last, so on, like that. Slice is to extract specific number of elements starting from the specified index without deleting those. So if you want first five elements of the array, list first five elements. So you suppose there are 15 elements, you want only first five. Then you will use a slice function to get only the first five elements. But do remember, those five elements will not be deleted from the original array. Okay. Splice is another function. Splice. This is slice. This is splice. It will extract the specified number of elements, but it will delete them from the original array. Fine. There is one more function called as push, which you might have learned in the stacks concept of your C++. And there is one more pop, which was just the opposite of your push. Push was used for adding of elements to the array at the top of the array. Pop is used to delete the elements from the top of the array. But do remember, both will take one element, and they will be trying to push one element and pop one element from the array. But all will be done from the top of the array. Do remember this. Top of the array in the sense, first element represented with the index 0. Fine. Then coming on for dialog boxes. These dialog boxes are must and should to be learned. We have learned and seen how alert looks like. It used to have a warning symbol with a OK button with some message displayed. Prompt, it was having an input box with two buttons, OK and cancel. Confirmation is very similar to that of prompt, but it is used generally for getting the confirmation from the user. It is not meant for taking input from the user. So I have kept one program for each of it, which you need to execute and check it. Okay. So for confirmation, I'll just copy this particular program and try to see how the output will be looking like. I'm keeping some random text here. I'm clicking on OK. Can you see this particular box? It is not giving a warning message to me. It is giving me some message with a question mark. Is meant for, is this particular thing that is written okay for you or not? This message which you got is okay or not? If I click OK, that means I agree with this particular thing. If I click cancel, it means I am not agreeing with this particular message. Okay, this is the confirmation box. Okay, fine. So